We are back with part 2 of the second episode. I think we got to call this. Is this a game week 1 or a game week 2 episode? I think this is pre game week 2 episode.
Yeah,
we can think about that.
Yeah.
This is the pre game week 2 episode, part 2. What we're going to do, this is a lot more of a casual podcast. If we kind of make a little mistake, we will just talk about it. It doesn't matter. It's okay if our tangents go long. This is more of a casual, unstructured conversation. That being said, we have a very slight structure that how we're gonna do it. So this is more just like random questions we have, random thoughts we have, more FPL, but we'll have the occasional like EPL take in there as well. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the first team in my current power rankings, which are on the board right here, Man City. You have any questions about Man City, Schlegs?
Question is, did you think about having 3 City guys before week 1?
I did.
Okay, because
I did think about it.
It didn't click in my mind.
So I think we went to one of our pods. I'm not sure if this is the one we recorded or not, or like put on YouTube or not. But yeah. I talked about I don't think I want Walker purely because I'm thinking about these other things. And that's when I listed like Trippier and Botman and like these other random dudes. But then I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm sure about my Kane pick. I'm gonna put Walker in because I think he's by far the best 5.0. But this means I'm betting against Haaland. And then instantly I was like, I can't. I have to get him in. And that's why I did it. So yeah. I did think about it and then chose against it. And like it bit me. But okay. Walker got 4.
Yep.
So fair. I guess Trippier and Botman, Trippier did, Botman did.
No, yeah, okay, that's fair. Then my other thing was, I think it's a good idea you got out of the City midfield. Just with Mahrez not playing, I feel like it's a risk of Foden on the left, Mahrez on the right next week. So that's a risk there. And then just about the captaincy, we'll be getting into him in the first 2 teams, but who's your captain for week 2?
It's Haaland nailed.
Okay, same. And I have a little tidbit as to why. So this week, I think it's kind of cool how this is working out. This week, Haaland's playing Bournemouth at home, and Salah is playing Crystal Palace at home. And then in week 4, Salah is playing at home against Bournemouth, and Haaland is playing at home against Crystal Palace.
Oh, really?
So my idea is that in week 4, I was looking at it, I was like, I'm probably going to captain Salah at home week 4 against Bournemouth, and I would feel weird not just following that same kind of logic for week 2 and being like, I'm going to start, it just feels wrong. I got to.
Well, what you're saying is you think Haaland and Salah are like equals, and it comes down to fixtures to separate them, which is high praise to Haaland.
Essentially, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think next week's like slightly tricky at Newcastle, at United. It depends how good you actually think United are, but I don't think at Newcastle is a great fixture, which is part of the reason I originally had Kane, because I thought week 3 he had by far the best fixture because he's home Wolves. But like I think game week 5 Haaland's home Forest, which literally might be a triple captain consideration, honestly. So I thought Haaland was such a no-brainer. So you mentioned something about the City mids. I agree. I think their wingers, they were like going wide. Like Foden looked really good, and Jack didn't look awesome, but those guys were going like super wide, and just everything goes to Haaland.
Yeah,
everything just centers around Haaland. But I think the most attractive City mid now is Gundogan at 7.5.
Yeah, he looked really good.
Bernardo just got sold.
Yeah,
like. I think Gunda at 7.5 might be amazing, but I also just love City cleans. So, good points there.
All right, now on to Liverpool. So what are we thinking? You said you're watching Nunez. I saw that he went up tonight, so he's at 8.1. Does that change anything?
9.1.
9.1, right.
It doesn't change anything. This is part of my I have 2.5 in the bank.
Okay.
Like everything's in play at this point. I think what we saw about last year when you and I followed was like there were no real forwards weren't a big part of the game. and we both started with like 5-3-2s and like.
Yeah.
But what was apparently standard in the game before that was everyone always had 3 forwards.
Huh.
And it was because people just like the forwards score. When you have a proper 9,
Yeah.
they just score most of your team's goals. When you have a false 9 and all these wingers are in play, these wingbacks are in play, these other mids are in play, I think that's what we saw last year. Was like every team kind of had a false 9, specifically City and Liverpool did.
Yeah.
But if City and Liverpool have out and out 9s that play every week and score half the goals, I think there's a chance we're gonna just want Holland and Darwin.
And then get rid of Salah maybe.
Potentially.
Yeah.
That's kind of my big take with Liverpool is if Darwin starts every week, even if he plays 75 minutes and Salah's going to play 90, if those first 75 minutes Salah's playing wider and kind of putting balls into the box or just less of his cutting in, and he's like, oh, this is an amazing player, but he's not quite 13 worth. If Darwin's there, that might be the question. And yeah, so that's my big Liverpool take is Darwin might come in for Salah at some point, and it might not be long.
Because then you could go like 9 with or 9 point whatever with Nunez, and then that might leave you with like an 8 mil mid or something like that. 8-9 mil mid, something like that. I think,
would
right?
be.
Depending on who you brought out of who your forward sub was, but
yeah,
that's an interesting idea because then you still have the premium with Holland, or even if you went that,
and
that's
like
that's
if Darwin, I think if Darwin's that good and he's earned this, he's going to be as much of a captain as City, and it might come down to this point where if Liverpool has a better fixture, you've captained him over Holland. So I don't know. That's just my point. Is like I don't know. The 2 best teams have out and out 9s instead of false 9s now, and that might actually change everything.
That's interesting. And then I'm sticking with Trent and Robertson.
I think Trent becomes even better.
Yeah,
I think both become better with out and out 9.
Yeah, and then
maybe they might not get up the pitch as much with. I think Trent still will though. So I think Trent's like maybe one of my favorite players in the Prem. Like I think he's like a top 5 player offensively in the Prem.
I mean, I'm keeping those guys till at least like the World Cup. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't even want to spend too much time being like, well, what if I brought him out?
No,
I'm just going to leave him and figure it out.
Yep. Third on my list here, I have Spurs. So lots of questions here because I think this is the team that looked the best last week, but also is one of the more complicated ones. I will let you ask questions and try fill in the gaps. I feel like I have like a pretty good idea, but also I have a good idea of what can be known. Yeah.
Okay, so my big question is I have Sessegnon on my watch list, and I know that I'm counting Sessegnon, Royale, Doherty, Perisic, Reguilon, 5 wingbacks for 2 spots. Who do you see like when everything settles? Who's playing the most minutes?
So I think Reguilon is never going to play.
Okay.
I think he's out of the team. I think they are trying to sell him actively.
Okay.
I think the number 5 guy is Jet Spence, which is like ridiculous. But like Jet Spence is going to play more this year than Reguilon.
Okay, so really 4 guys then. Okay.
Yeah. So Emerson's exclusively right. Sessegnon's exclusively left. Doherty can play both. Perisic can play left, maybe right. He is right-footed. And then Jet Spence is only right. So like Doherty potentially could play left, but I don't think over either of those guys if they're fit.
Okay.
Sess and Perisic, I think Sess played too well to like just give up the job.
Sure.
I think Perisic is gonna have to show something in his like later subs to potentially take the job, and I think they're gonna sub every week.
Okay. Yeah, because that's what I'm thinking of going maybe Ben White to him or something like that. So that's what I'm really looking at there. And then you mentioned you might bring in Kulu at 8 mil. He was my highlight of the week for me. And I think if I were to do the power rankings for the 8 mil mids from week 1, he would be at the top. Probably go like him and Saka, and probably Foden for the top 3. But I feel like the rest of the attackers, I mean, as expected, kind of for those big guys. So yeah.
What I saw the most was Kane was dropping down a lot. He's still like probably the best finisher on the team, but he's not in those positions as much. He's still on pens. I think he's still not a terrible pick. It's just Holland's like a better pick.
Yeah.
Son and Kulusevski or Decky were making deep runs. I thought he looked amazing. Like he looked very good. His goal was so if he has his left foot on the ball in the box, he's going to score.
Yeah.
It's if he doesn't get closed in on, he is going to score that. I think he's the best 8 mil mid as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go on to Chelsea. Last
Mm-hmm.
week, neither of us were particularly optimistic or high on Chelsea. Has anything changed?
I think the one thing is I don't think they played super well the whole game. They started playing a little bit better later. I think Cucurella is way better than Azpilicueta, and I was just reminded how good of a player Reece James is, and I think Reece James is just an amazing player, so he's on my watch list. And Cucurella is just a 5.0 into the Chelsea defense, which is cheap, and then potentially could play the left wing back at times or for full game. So that's why those two are in my watch list. And it's more on, I don't think they look good, but they're very good players. And if I could get on Chelsea players before other people, I could potentially get a little bit of gains early on.
Yeah, I see that. And I mean, I really liked having Rudiger last year. So, but yeah,
Same.
for me, just like looking at defense exclusively, almost, I'm not super like not super high on, like we said, Mount, Sterling, Ziyech, Pulisic. They sold
No.
Werner, so he's gone, but non-factor anyways. Yeah, not really. I mean, Conor Gallagher, he fell today. I mean, I don't know if he actually is going to get minutes, but outside of the defense and maybe Mendy, but I'm kind of setting for my goalies anyway, so he's not an option. Not really looking at Chelsea.
Yeah, the one thing let me see if I have it here, is the one thing I'll say about Chelsea is they have, I think, crazy fixtures. Um, I might be wrong. After this week,
Let's see.
they have it's not that well. So they have Leeds, Leicester, Southampton, West Ham, Fulham. Then they play Liverpool 8, and then they
Yeah, and
have
then after that,
Palace, Wolves, Villa, Brentford. Like maybe they're like the perfect team to load up on like a first wild card. Say you wild card after game week 8,
yeah,
and you just have that whole run till the World Cup, and then the fixtures get hard again. They go Arsenal, Newcastle, a couple, and then City, a couple, Liverpool. Like so, they might be a perfect post wild card to World Cup team.
okay, that's something. Yeah, something to look out for.
Yeah. Fifth team I have here is Arsenal. Anything about Arsenal?
Yeah, so for me, like I said, Ben White is that defender that I'm probably going to be transferring out
Yeah.
first. The question is later down the road, talk about Leicester, but my plan to do a double with Sancho and White, but it's uh, do I go seven? Do I go up in the mid or do I go up in defense?
Mm.
I have to make that decision at the time. I mean,
Do you
I
have
think it's
Martinelli?
no.
That's tough.
So it's too early for me to really be like, I'm gonna go for Madison and then go down to Nico Williams or something like that. Um, but Ben White's coming out, and I'm gonna plan to watch more of the Arsenal game this weekend and see how their defense plays and just
Yeah.
maybe gets a better comfort level there. But and then yeah, I mean their midfielders looked really good.
Yeah, like they're an interesting team. I thought I hate this team. I just hate them. But some of their picks are just too good. Like I think Martinelli and Jesus are just like amazing picks.
Yeah,
I won't get Saka. Like you could potentially find me in week
no,
13 and I have him because he's the best pick. But I right now I'm just like no way I'd ever pick him over any of the 8 mids. Um,
yeah,
Jesus looked
same.
amazing. Jesus looked amazing. He
Yeah, he
just
just
didn't
didn't
return.
score.
And I
Yeah,
think him at 8.0 is still just like a great pick. But yeah, they play Leicester this week. Honestly, good to learn about both those teams. Um, Saliba looked good. I don't know. That's my takeaway on Arsenal.
yeah.
6, I still have United there. I'm trying to be rational with these so they don't change like drastically every week. But yeah, I guess that's a a backhanded comment in itself. What do you think? Anything?
Well, this week should be different. Ronaldo should start, so you don't
Is that a
have
good thing?
well.
It's better.
Erickson,
It's better than their alternative. Yeah, yeah.
well, the alternative was, for whatever reason, Erickson was playing false nine, and then
I see.
everything that you read leading up to the game, during the game, it's like, well, he's historically played the worst when he's been a false nine. He's better when he's
Mm,
either deeper in the midfield or out wide. So that's kind of like a head scratcher playing him there over Bruno.
yeah.
Uh, but I don't. I just they just look the same as they did last year. It's like
Yeah.
bringing the ball and just randomly cross it in and hope for something to happen. That's literally the game plan. Is just get it in, try and 1v1 a guy, and
That
then
was terrible. That was a
yeah,
terrible game. Yeah.
and Rashford maybe on his way out. Word is he's talking to PSG or his brother's talking to PSG.
What?
So they, not that they want to sell him, but if they get a, I
No.
guess if they get like I don't know, 80 mil or something like that, they might sell him. But then again, like then your Alanga and Garnacho are like your starting right wings. So yeah,
Crazy.
I'll say I made a mistake bringing in Sancho. It's not working, but uh,
Hmm.
for the dub, I don't know. My plan is to have the double transfer to move him out, but I might have to get rid of him after this week when they go up against Liverpool because I can't see
They
him.
go Liverpool 3, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't really like
Okay. Yeah.
I can't see like him returning during that game. Like maybe I mean he looked the best the last time they played, but I think
Hmm.
that was I don't know if that might have been the 5-0 game or either way it was a bad game. Uh,
Yeah.
so I might just directly have to transfer him out uh, and then I don't know play it, just figure it out from there. But I could see him like dropping potentially
Yeah.
leading into the
So
week.
with Liverpool coming next, and you just lost to Brighton, how important is it for United to win at Brentford?
Yeah, massive. If they
It
get
is.
if they have 0.0 out of their
Even
zero
one.
points, yeah, 0 point, yeah, zero, but if they had 0 out of 9 points in the first 3 weeks, that would like you would expect realistically six or
Yeah.
four, but
At that
yeah,
point, you're going to Southampton, and you're like, if we don't get points here, we're going to Leicester next, and that might be
yeah,
hard too.
and then
And
Arsenal,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So my
and
I
then all the
yeah
way to City at 9, even.
yeah. So
Like
my
Palace away is a
yeah
hard game.
yeah,
Like
and then
they
Leeds,
could be in, and then Newcastle, Tottenham. Like, what if by the end of week 14, United is 12th on the
yeah,
in the
ten
table?
ten Hag's probably gonna get fired.
I agree.
But yeah, so my idea was to keep him till week 4 because I'm like, if anything, if he's going to score, it's or get an assist, it's going to be that week. So I feel bad, or I don't feel like good transferring out before. I feel like I have to see
Yeah.
it through.
Yep.
That's my thought process, and then definitely get rid of him after week 4.
Yeah. I would agree.
Okay.
I don't really have anything. I just wanted to know
Yeah,
how much it was the win. So West Ham,
I got nothing right now.
I got nothing. I think Skamaka is like a slight one to watch. And again, another true nine. Leicester, pretty interesting team.
Yeah, so I had two guys in my drafts and I came in and out. It was Dewsbury Hall.
Hmm.
So I find like he's an interesting one to watch. He's at 5 mil, and Brendan Rodgers today said that Harvey Barnes doesn't have a timetable to return.
I did see that.
So without Barnes in the
I don't think
lineup,
they're the same position.
no, but apparently he plays higher up in the field when Barnes isn't
Oh,
there because they
interesting.
play like a 4-3-3 with
Yeah.
Barnes, but without Barnes, it looked like I don't know if it was like a 4-5 or 4-4-1-1 or something like that.
Mm, yeah.
So he plays higher up in
Interesting.
the field. So something to watch there. And then I always like Madison at the 8. So if I were to down the road, depending on price changes, but Sancho
Yeah.
out, Madison in is kind of ideally what I'd like to do. But in terms of defense, nothing really there. But those two guys,
Do you regret not doing the 4-0-4-0 keeper?
a little bit, more having Ben White over Nico Williams,
Yeah.
because then I just could have had the 8 right off the bat.
Yeah. Makes sense. Um, I don't think I have anything for Leicester. Newcastle.
Callum Wilson scored, which is nice.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Almiron because he's 5 mil. So if I really wanted to
He's
downgrade
5, eh?
somewhere,
Yeah.
that's probably where I'd go at that price point. Um, but then the defense, I'm not particularly like Scar or they're not really. I don't know Trippier, I guess, but I don't know. Clean sheets is hit and miss, I
Hmm.
guess. So I'm not sold on him.
Yeah. You brought up an interesting point there, just with those 5-0s. So you've mentioned two in the last two teams, Dewsbury Hall and Almiron. So let me pitch you the De Silva.
I
Let
honestly
me
haven't
just.
thought about him at all, but it makes sense.
So it's like if you're going down to 4.5, you're not going to want to start that guy anyways.
No,
So that it might as well just get the extra half mil, and
that's
then
true.
also don't want to start him. But
That's true.
like this guy, where does this guy go on your bench? Like De Silva is like
Yeah,
right is like same territory as Archer, and I have
yeah,
Pereira, who's that third guy.
that's true. Yeah, I have
So
to think about that one some more.
that's why I ended up doing that. Was just like, this guy subbed on. I've been playing a Brentford FIFA season, which is like super random. And even though De Silva is like so much the like most attacking mid.
Okay.
Well, you know what's actually what killed him is Damsgaard potentially. Now that I
Right.
think about it, I might like regret my move, but anyways, it's my bench. I don't really care. So I was like, the bigger point is, might as well go the extra point
Yeah, that's
5.
true. Okay. That's something to look into some more.
Um,
Brighton.
Braden, anything?
They look good EPL wise, scoring a couple
Yeah,
good goals. But I know it's weird. It's like Denny Welbeck looked really good, but I just like how much can you buy in? How much can you like think that Brighton's really good,
he's the
or
nailed
was it?
forward.
Yeah, or was it just United was like a mess? And it's hard to kind of like you can't take a lot from West Ham going against City. I don't know if it's the same way for Brighton against United, but yeah, I
Hmm.
guess like Welbeck looked okay. I know Undav came off the bench really late, didn't really have any time to do anything. Trossard at 6.5 isn't maybe a little one to watch.
Yeah, he's like a wing back,
Yeah,
and that makes me like a 6.5
yeah,
tag. Is that like is this guy the same as like
yeah,
slightly worse than Robertson, and he's not getting clean points?
yeah. That's true.
You
So
know.
yeah, not a ton there.
So you brought up another interesting point with Welbeck. So Welbeck is 6.5 forward.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts on the like, say you want a cheaper forward? Your like your options at this point are basically Mitro or Welbeck
or I have Buemo, but I don't really like
or
him. But yeah,
Buemo. Yeah, maybe
Solanke.
like say you want a forward that you want to start,
Yeah,
but you don't want to spend too much money on. So it's like Tony at 7,
yeah,
Mitra at 6'6", Welbeck 6'5". Is Welbeck in that conversation or not? I think he might be. He's on
yeah,
Brighton. If he is the nailed striker on Brighton for the same price as the nailed striker on Brentford and Fulham, I think he's at
yeah.
least in the conversation.
I think so. I think it's valuable just to get those minutes. And then looking at their fixtures till week 8, the week 9 they play Liverpool, but before then, Bournemouth,
Yeah, interesting.
Fulham, Leeds. Yeah, so yeah, well, that's maybe I'll write him in my watch list.
Just like in the bottom there, yeah. Number 11, this team fell a little bit in my power rankings. I think they dropped below Brighton. The 10-11 swap is Villa,
Yeah, so there I'm really just looking at Bailey. Um,
and
if
you
you're
don't have
feeling,
Bailey,
I
right?
don't have Bailey. I was looking at Ramsey, but he's playing in the midfield. I'd feel bad if I had Coutinho. I wouldn't be really happy with him right now if he was in my squad. Um, but yeah, not a ton. Matty Cash maybe down the line, but similar like spot to Trippier, just not really convinced right now.
Yeah, I think Coutinho looked terrible. He was one of the worst players in the Prem this weekend. He was terrible. Um, Bailey, I wouldn't get him in if I were you. Like, I'm gonna
Okay.
get him out in the next 2 weeks. It's either this week or next week. Like,
Okay.
so I wouldn't put a transfer there. Ramsey is like he got pulled out at half.
Okay.
He does. I don't think you start every week. And then Ings and Watkins, there's just like no reason to believe in either.
Yeah.
It's like
No. Yeah.
hopefully Archer gets minutes
Yeah.
by
Not
the
too
end of the
high on
season.
them. Not too high on them overall.
Yeah, one of the worst teams of the weekend. Leeds.
Yeah. So Leeds is an
So
interesting
yeah,
one.
I've got questions for you. So I've watched
Yeah.
the Leeds game kind of. I know
Yeah.
Aronson got like basically scored a goal, but didn't actually touch the ball, which is like funny.
Yeah.
Um, the defense was kind of weird, but apparently Melia looked amazing. Um, and then Sinistera is actually healthy going
Yeah.
into next week. Um, and Bamford apparently looked good.
Yeah.
What did you see from Leeds?
Yeah. So I liked Aronson, especially at Aronson
Mm.
and Harrison. I think
Harrison's
they're
hurt.
Is he hurt now?
Just
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Uh,
I was interested in him.
no,
He
it's
was
not
looking good.
Harrison. Sorry, it's the Fulham
Rodrigo?
guy.
Oh, okay. Um, but yeah, there's four guys on Leeds that are kind of interesting. I liked Aronson. I think he still looked good. I don't plan on transferring him out anytime soon. Harrison's at 6, so he's a little bit more expensive. He looked really attacking as well. And then Rodrigo got a goal. He'd probably be fourth on my list. And then Bamford, if you're looking for that, maybe if you're looking to get out of Jesus and you don't want Callum Wilson, I'd look towards Bamford. He seems to be playing all the time. Everybody was really high on. He was super hyped up for a little bit last season, and then he kept getting injured. So maybe he's flying a little bit under the radar right now.
Yeah. I kind of want to go back to Aronson. I feel like he's like the really only one at this point.
Yeah,
Um, so I heard that some people are hoping that he's kind of move centrally and kind of take over Rodrigo's role as like a second striker almost. But right now he's on the wing
yeah.
and he looked good. But he's on the wing on Leeds at 5.5, which is a great price. But is he a guy you're getting in to start like every week? Is he a guy you get into like start most weeks? Like what are your thoughts with him?
Right now he's my fourth midfielder, so he's
Okay.
playing. He's playing most games. Yeah, I
So
guess maybe
most
like
games, yeah.
yeah, it would be fixtures. Fixtures might dictate if like him or Pereira or if Andreas comes in,
Yeah.
but for the most part, I'm just gonna kind of ride him out and hope that get his goals here and there or assists.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he's very differential too. He's only 1.2%.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's
Uh,
where I'm looking there.
yeah, I've seen I feel like I've heard a lot of hype around him, but he's
He's
only
American.
1.2.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
American coach.
Yeah. I mean, even like FPL wise, after week 1, people are like, this guy's amazing, but
Yeah,
he's still only 1.2.
yeah, and
So
he's not really getting transferred down at all.
yeah.
Do we want to bunch a few of these ones together?
I can just hit a few actually off here.
Sure.
So 13 is Palace. Basically, I think they
Nothing.
actually have a very good defense. I think they're a fixture to not think is an amazing fixture. I don't think their players are good, but just when you're thinking about other players and maybe
Yeah.
captaincy. Brentford, I think we've talked a lot about Brentford,
Yeah,
like
Tony
Tony, De Silva.
DeSilva.
Everton, I think looked terrible.
No, don't want any of them.
Well, nothing attacking. Yeah.
No, yeah, maybe one of our buddies in our league, Kieran, has Tarkovsky and was it Mylenko on his
Yeah.
defense and Pickford and net.
And the defense looked okay. Like
Yeah, it's just that
they
they're going to
looked
be
boring.
under pressure a lot.
Yes.
So
Agreed.
goals are gonna come.
Pickford over one of the guys because he's going to get saves this year.
Yeah,
16 was Wolves. I think they've got somewhat interesting cheap mids with
Neves, Podence, Neto.
Neto, but I wouldn't like really go near this
No,
team.
Wang starting at the top instead of Jimenez.
Well, Jimenez is hurt.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
down.
They're not going to score. Yeah.
No, they're not going to score.
And I don't think their defense is going to be as good as last
No,
year.
and Connor Cody came out. Connor Cody's going to
Yep.
Everton.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So 17 is Fulham. I've got a bit of a couple points here. So I think we all love Pereira. I think having Pereira as the 4-5 was like a huge win for everybody.
Yeah.
Mitro looked good.
Yeah.
Like he went like over Van Dijk or he went over somebody to score.
He got the pen on Van Dijk. Tripped him in the box.
And his non-pen goal was also like
it
looks like he's gonna score
over Robertson, or was it over Trent?
I think it was Trent. Now that you say it, I think it was Trent. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so there's like hype on Mitro, but I would personally say be careful. They've got at Arsenal, they've got home to Brighton, they've got Tottenham, Chelsea, 4-7.
Yeah.
I think it's like having Pereira is great, but doubling up in Fulham attack, I think is dangerous.
Yeah. We talked about that before.
And then the other thing is the injuries. So Manor Solomon's hurt, which is just like an attacking mid. He hasn't been playing there, but he was like a hype signing. And Harry Wilson's hurt.
Yeah.
So it's literally like two of their most important or their best attacking option and probably the best guy to replace them. So it's like it's really just Mitro and Pereira at this point.
Yeah, and I feel like since Mitrovic was brought in so much this week, I feel like Like if he blanks this week, he could be sold off just
Yeah.
as fast and go back to 6.5.
Agreed. Yeah, that was basically it. Yeah, nothing really more on them. Nico Williams
Brentford.
didn't score, right? Bournemouth, they're massive, but I wouldn't go anywhere near them. They have like the
No.
worst fixtures in the whole league because we keep talking about captaining against them.
Yeah, stay away.
19 Southampton. Anything
Ward
about
Prowse
Ford Press?
potentially, but he's the only one you really have eyes for if you're looking for a Southampton player.
Agreed. He looked pretty good, honestly. He looked more
Yeah,
attacking than usual, but in like open play. And then 20th Forest, worst team in the league, I think by a lot.
yeah,
They got run over by Newcastle. They didn't play any of their guys that they bought. Like they
yeah.
might become something, but I don't even know if they will.
Unless you're looking for some cheap budget options that like just to purely to fill your bench or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe, but no, there's better value elsewhere.
Yeah. The one thing I want to learn this year that I didn't use last year was don't count on these bad teams. Don't like be a sucker for like the hot cheap player on one of these bad teams.
Yeah,
Like
Livermento.
not even Livramento. I'm saying more like King and Dennis.
Oh yeah.
And like
Okay.
how everybody was buying them, people were captaining them,
Yeah,
like
triple
and like
captain Dennis
triple
or yeah.
captain Dennis on a like the bad teams are bad teams, and I don't want to get like sucked into believing in them. That's something I want to learn this year. I think the good teams will score the most points.
All right. I got one more thing maybe before we finish this up. Well,
Perfect.
predictions for week 2. What would be like what would be a couple things that you just have a feeling they're going to happen?
Oh yeah. So I'm terrified of this week. I think one thing is I think Bournemouth played the game of their lives at home, first game back in the Prem. And I think now all the pressure's off. They're going to City, and I think I think that's gonna be a bloodbath.
Yeah,
That game. Um, I think United are gonna struggle with Brentford.
probably.
I think they will. At Brentford's is a tough fixture, and then for me, it's the biggest match of this game
It
week is
is definitely.
easily Spurs Chelsea.
Yeah.
I heard something that Spurs have won 1 out of 37 games at Stamford Bridge or
Wow.
something, or like they've won one in their last 37 games at Chelsea. Chelsea destroyed us last year, even with Conte. They beat us 3 times in January. We played well against Liverpool and City. We can kind of figure them out, but like Chelsea just kill Spurs. So um, this is a huge game this early in the season, and I think they can do it. But I'm nervous. I'd be pumped with a draw. I would just be like, sure, one draw at Stamford Bridge. Give me that.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking same with you. City first game home, first home game for Holland. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
I could. He's scoring at least 2 goals.
I think
Like
so.
he's scoring at least 2 goals, and
Could be
then
4.
could be 4. Yeah, easily just as easy as he could score 2s, could 4. He could get
Yeah,
4, and then I'm just hoping Trent or Robertson could get an assist. That would just
yeah.
kind of cement
Clean
that.
and assists. Yeah,
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, just need to start getting something out of them. Just
yeah.
I'm at like a 1 panic level. It might go to a 2 or a 3 if nothing happens again, or just frustration a little bit. But
Mm,
yeah, really, I think this week, um, for me, it's just going to come down to hopefully Holland scoring a bunch of points and people captaining Sal instead.
agreed. Well, I think it's gonna be a great week of soccer, Ken. I'm looking forward to watching some,
Oh yeah.
and I think that wraps it up for part 2 of episode 2. Talk to you later.